let me go ahead and introduce to you the man of the hour tonight, Brian Voice Porter Hawkins. Brian Voice Porter Hawkins, mostly known as Voice Porter, is a community development consultant, writer, poet, actor, gardener, and orator that believes that community strength lies in the mindset of creatives. Brian is vice president of We Are Rtists, abbreviated WAR, an organization that facilitates collaboration between artists and seeks to educate artists in the business of art. Creative director of both Bards Brews, a monthly poetry event and beer tasting with the Birmingham Public Library system, and On Stage at the Carver, the running open mic in Alabama. The longest running poetry open mic in Alabama. He has been a presenter of the University of Massachusetts Center for Health Equity Intervention Research, so CHEIR, CHEIR, Synthesis, Engagement and Elevation Disparities, Symposium, and worked with CHEIR to craft new competencies for health equity intervention researchers, and is one of the co-founders of WordSpeak Literary Entertainment, a nonprofit organization that uses writers and actors to enrich the lives of underprivileged children. As director of the Color Project Ensley, Brian seeks to transform a neglected part of our community into a place overflowing with beauty and warmth. The Color Project Ensley addresses the social, mental, and physical health of the people of Ensley with public art, creative placemaking, performance art, and urban planning. Brian works to ensure that the voice of the people of Ensley are heard in a constructive and positive atmosphere. Brian believes that change only comes when people are motivated, and motivation often comes from your surroundings. So Brian and the Color Ensley Project intend to surround the people of Ensley with enough art and technology that change comes effortlessly. So Brian does it all. He is wonderful, and he has come tonight to present to us a poetry thing. So, Voice, take it away, man.
Good evening, everybody. How are you all doing? Everybody doing great? Fantastic. Good. My name is Voice Porter. I am a free voice, and I do a lot. But my love, my passion is performance poetry, spoken word poetry, slam poetry, however you like to call it. It is what I love to do, and it is what I do, and we are going to do a little bit of that tonight here. And so I was a little bit torn over what to do exactly tonight. Like should I just present some spoken word pieces, and should we work from there? Like, should we start from the ground up and develop something tonight? And I have decided that we should start from the ground up and develop something tonight. Yeah. So I hope you're all ready. You have some writing utensils, some paper, your handy dandy digital notebook, whatever you got. Like, if you got one of those really cool things, the paperless ones, paper brights, is that what they're called? Whatever they're called, like, they're really cool. Like, you write on them, and it's amazing. If you got one of those, let me borrow it. Let me just hold on to it for like a month. Like, that's I think that's long enough to decide whether I want to buy one or not. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to say thank you to Haley and Spark Writing Festival for having me here. This is just, a most beautiful thing. I did this on the last festival and it turned out pretty good. And I'm glad to see you all here tonight. Thank you all for joining us. So, by a show of hands, let me put you guys on the gallery view so I can see everybody. By a show of hands, if you have your camera on, how many of you have ever gone to a spoken word event before? Fantastic. Okay. And how many of us have participated in a spoken word event before? Okay, great. Great. All right. So here's what I would like for us to do tonight. We want to start off by writing a short spoken word piece. Now, before we even start writing, I'll tell you a little bit more about spoken word. It really is it really is simply the oral tradition of poetry that has existed in this world for centuries. We're talking about the minstrels of Europe. We're talking about the griots in Africa. We're talking about the historians in a lot of cultures where people didn't write, but there was a lineage of historians that remembered everything. Everyone's birth, everyone's death, all the floods, the fires, everything that has happened has been passed down through these oral traditions. And spoken word poetry is in that same lineage of tradition where this isn't just simply about writing a thing for someone else to find. This is about creating something in such a way that when another person gets it, they get, hopefully, the understanding that you mean for them to have. This is how spoken word differs a bit from written poetry. Whereas written poetry, you kind of leave it up to the interpretation of the reader. Like, you hope the reader has enough information from what you've given and from their own lives to find the meaning that you meant. But if they don't, then that's perfectly great. Whereas with spoken word, it is more so, um, here's how I mean it. Here's why I mean it. Here's what I'm saying. Here's why I'm saying it. All right. You get kind of this whole structure of an oral argument. It's really kind of like being a lawyer in court, where you want the words that you say to be meant in the way that you mean them. Otherwise, your client might be going to jail. All right. Does that make sense to anybody? Am I just okay? I see some heads bobbing. Okay, good. Good. So what I want us to do first is take a moment and think about something. This is an exercise I like to do quite often. Think about something that you absolutely do not like to do. Something that you absolutely do not like to do. Like, if someone were to just have a look on their face like they wanted to ask you to do it, you would already be ready to say no. Right? Let's think about that. Take a few moments. Think about something that you just don't want to do. Like, no, not today. Maybe on February the 30th, you might. All right, but nah, not today. Yeah. All right. So what I want us to do is take about 7 minutes, if we can. Let's do 10 minutes, because 7 minutes always goes by so fast. Let's take about 10 minutes, and we're going to write a bit of a narrative poem about something that you do not want to do. Think of that thing. Place yourself in the poem. And talk about the thing. Like, you can talk about how much you hate it. You can talk about exactly what it is, what it entails. You can talk about your feelings surrounding the thing. You can talk about how, maybe it doesn't help anyone, or whatever it is, just your perspective on the thing that you absolutely do not like to do. And notice I didn't say the word hate. Not the thing that you hate, but the thing that you just don't want to do. All right. Because right now we're working on the opposite of passion. And the opposite of passion really is not hate, because hate is a passionate act. Right. we're talking about just complete apathy about a thing. Like I don't care for that. It's just supremely apathetic, which is really the opposite of passion. Right. So we're gonna take about 10 minutes. It is now 6:15. So at about 6:25, we will reconvene. So let me barge in here one more second, because I believe I forgot to tell you one of the important things. I don't want you to name the thing outright. Don't name it outright. Right? You want to talk about it, but don't name it outright. We'll add a few more minutes because I goofed on that one. Okay, because I added some instruction later, go ahead and add about 3 more minutes to your time to write. So now at 6:28, we'll come right back. Okay. 6:28 has come. So if you have not finished, please continue right on. Just continue writing. If you have finished and you are willing to share with us, because that's the biggest part of spoken word is the sharing. Like I like to think of spoken word poetry as a therapy, right? And there are steps to this therapy. And so there is the conceptualization, there is the realization, and that is the writing it down on paper. And then there is the presentation, right? And so all 3 of those steps are the 3 steps to this therapeutic thing that we call spoken word poetry. So if I can get a volunteer or 2 or 6.
I'll go since I joined in at the last minute. You told me what it was, and I'm not sure if I read it, but now let's see if I read it halfway right. Okay.
All right, Carla.
It is of the devil. Okay, I call it hell. One would say a necessary evil. Day in and day out, making me want to shout. For me, just get the shovel, because daily I'm in trouble. All hours of the day for something we call pay. You do this and they do that. I think it's all whack. But one would say a necessary evil.
Carla, you talking about going to work? Yeah. Like, who wants to do that? Like, go to work. Ugh, ugh, ugh. I say that as I'm at work right now. Like, that's oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let's get someone else. Sophia?
There. The mountain, it calls. It could be hoarse from crying, but still I would not care. Why should I be the one to put it in its place? Is it not enough to prepare and process? I'm not the only adult on site, so I will pass. At what point does assistance become enablement? Yet we have fallen into our roles, our ruts, our spheres of responsibility. This one has fallen between the cracks of need and desire, belonging to neither, it would seem. So it sits unclaimed on the fringes of our neglect, the periphery of assignment or blame. Is that what we call the sofa these days? Haley knows.
Trying to figure this one out. Does anybody have an idea other than Haley?
I have an idea.
Yes, please.
I would guess laundry.
Yeah.
I have no passion for laundry.
I've got a pile on the bed right now. That's, yeah. Yes, yes. That's beautiful. All right, who else? Who else would like? Haley.
All right, so I know you said don't say the thing, but I was already going by the time you said that, so I just kept going. I let it get that bad, trash piled up to the rim. I compact it down a little more and hope the smell stays intact and doesn't fall apart like the last 2 bites of yesterday's cheeseburger. I know, if I would just take it out, I would feel better, but I can't stand to sack it up, pull the strings until the lips pucker up into a kiss. Or no, not really. Like a sourpuss, like how my baby cousin looked when my mother jokingly gave him a bite of lemon. I know, if I would just walk it outside, pile it high into the dumpster, I wouldn't feel the high of my anxiety as it spikes, but no, that would be too easy. Let me just scrunch it down a little more, throw this Coke can in the office trash, fill the waste baskets all around the house until I feel the weight of all the single use and abuse in my life, and swear to myself one more time that I will go feral and take to the woods next month, or the month after that at least. But then I'll unleash in a fury all at once and purge it all in one fell swoop, reset the bags, reset the loop of avoidance until the bin is filled back to the brim and I push it all down just a little bit more. Voice, you're on mute, my dude.
That was a great, lovely telling of something that not many of us like to do. Like, who really likes to take out the trash? Should hire somebody.
You can come over to my house once a week and take it out, Voice.
Oh, thank you. That is so sweet of you. So lovely. I don't know what to say. No.
Really? I'll give you some gummy bears too. They're just the Albanese kind. I always keep like a 2-pound sack around.
Oh, you got gummy bears? Oh, you know,
yeah.
You know, I might have to change my answer to no. Oh, who else would like to share with us tonight?
I can share. I don't know if I want to follow Haley, but I'll try to read my own writing here. I will not play those games of chance where the only skill is counting. Don't get me wrong, I'm a game lover. I'll play cards or Risk or even Guess Who. Go Fish, maybe, or sometimes, if corralled, Monopoly. Dominoes are good and any of the more complex board games that take months to learn. But ask me to play those two, no matter how cute the kid, and I'll say, how about a puzzle? Maybe it's the lack of choice. Even in Monopoly, one can choose to buy a property or a house, trade them in for a hotel. Dominoes, the choice of which tile and which order, and the never-ending configurations sprawling on a table. But those ones, with their little spinners or die, I can't recall, 1 through 6 at any rate, and no choice, no challenge, no fun.
Anyone else got an idea?
Shoots and ladders?
Yes, that's one of them. The other one I feel like is the same game by a different name.
Candyland.
Yes.
Yeah, somehow I always lose at Candyland, and I do not understand why. It's simply a game of chance.
They're horrible. I don't know who invented them.
Except the kids stack the cards against me. They do all the time.
Oh, they are cards. That's right.
Shoots and ladders and Candyland.
I don't allow them in my house.
Oh man. Man, I can just imagine like coming up to your front door and there's like a note right on the front. It says that Shoots and Ladders and Candyland are not allowed in this house. And that's all the note says. All right, would someone else like to share with us? Judy?
Okay, I'll do this one. It's pretty obvious, I think. I'm 8 months in, pandemic isolation, profusions of solutions leave me motionless, glued to a screen, lacking eye contact, sad social contract. I can't stand it. The loneliness, roamliness, sweatpant homeliness, no one else can see because I'm framed from chest up, offering my best up while drumming my fingers out of frame. Who's to blame? What a shame. It's all we've got.
Well, I'm so happy you're here.
Too. This is not about this.
So I'm assuming it's just about Zoom in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Virtual stuff in general, yeah. It does get a little tiring sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I feel like sometimes I'm the only person in the world who is like, let's not go back to before. We can make this Zoom thing work. We can do other platforms. We can, all that stuff. Like I'm just like, I don't want to leave the house. Like I've been in the house this long and I am just fine staying in the house for a long time after this. Yeah. I don't know. It's just me, maybe. I don't know. Everybody else seems to be very eager to get out.
I'm with you. I can stay at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've got a fig tree. The figs are starting to turn brown right now. Like, I've got my little garden going out there. Like everything, I don't need to go anywhere.
Guys, he says a little garden. It's a massive garden. It's big.
It's the space itself is big, but the actual plantings this year are very small. Yeah. So I have in the backyard here about 1.5 acres of backyard, and then there's side yard and front yard. So I think it's like 2.5 acres for the property. And so last year I did a really big garden. Like I went out there, I rented a tiller and tilled up the earth and got out there and did this thing. And this year I went out there with a shovel and made a patch. It's like that's good enough. I'm good with this patch. Yeah. All right. Would someone else like to share with us, please? I think we may have time for like just one more. Okay. All right. So let's look at our writings. Let's look at this anti-passion that we've got going on here, and how we have framed our anti-passion in a way that we haven't used the words, except for maybe Haley. We haven't used the words of what it is, but we've used a lot of descriptors that have allowed for us to figure out what it is. Now, when we're doing spoken word poetry, a lot of wordplay is involved. A lot of saying things that mean what you mean, but don't exactly say the name of the thing that you mean is involved. Spoken word poets will very often use 20 words when the name of a thing is 3 words. Yeah. But almost always you will find that when you are listening or when you're reading someone's work and they use descriptors instead of naming a thing, it's a lot more fun to hear and a lot more fun to read. It's a little bit of a challenge to think while you're reading or talking, to not just offer up the answer to a thing immediately. Like, you may get to the end of your writing and think, maybe they won't get this. It's a little too abstract. And maybe you name it at the end, or get very close to naming it at the end. But the challenge of figuring it out, of listening to it, of reading it, is a lot of the fun in spoken word arenas, which is really one of the biggest reasons why people go to spoken word events, is to listen to the poets and their wordplay. All right. So what I'd like for us to do now is take this poem that we've written, and we're going to go back through with a little bit of an editorial pen. All right. The things that you've written in your poem that are kind of on the nose about your anti-passion, want to take those things out, those things that are really spot on, that are really succinct. Take them out and see if we can dance around that a little bit more, while still allowing for the listener or the reader to figure out what you're talking about. We don't want to confuse people too much. I think my personal opinion with poetry as it stands right now is that it's a bit inaccessible to most people, right? A lot of poets are academics, and they're just academics trying to impress other academics, right? But I believe the poetry is supposed to be for the people. It started off for the people. It should be for the people. And so the people like stories. The people like parables. The people like sometimes a little wordiness when we're talking. Because when you're talking to someone and they're very short with you in conversation, I don't know about you, but sometimes I kind of feel a little bit cheated out of my conversation when people are just 1 word, 2 word answers here and there. Hello. So I've got another one crawling on the floor in here, trying not to be seen. All right. Guys, that is working right now. All right. Will you close the door behind you, please?
I'm just looking for something.
Okay. All right.
I'll stay right back here.
Okay. All right. So let's take our don't rock me. Let's take our poem. Let's take those things that are right on the nose, and let's flesh those out a little bit more. And this time, I want you to take into consideration that there is an audience, and not just an audience of people sitting in front of you, but maybe there is only one person, just the one person. You're talking directly to that one person. So let's go ahead. We'll take we'll take 7 minutes this time. We'll take 7 minutes and let's do a little bit of editing, and we'll be back at 6:52 or 6:53. 6:53. All right, time is now 6:53. And if you are still writing, please continue. Don't stop because I am talking. Just continue right on. And so, because you guys are not doing this by yourselves, I am also here. I want to share with you the thing that just burns me up. So I'll share both the original work and then the revamped one. The first one, putting marks into space not designed for my hand, slashing and looping for others' eyes and remembrance, placing myself, wants, and dreams into two-dimensional space. And so the next one, the rework, I'm a writer. I can pour words onto a page almost as easy as I breathe. As long as I'm inspired, even just a little, and no one is standing over my shoulder, I can write for hours. You can ask me questions and I'll write your answers. But you can ask me questions and I'll write your answers. Blank or empty lined pages bring me joy. But add questions, blank lines, and boxes to those pages, and all sparks of creativity leave me, and anger springs in its place. Can anybody guess what it is that I just do not like to do?
Journal prompts.
Journal prompt? No. I do like to do journal prompts.
Surveys.
It's paperwork. It's just paperwork. Like you can ask me all the questions all day and I can tell you, or I can write them out in long form. But you put the paperwork in front of me and it's got those little boxes and those little lines, and I gotta try to fit 4 sentences in a little space this big. It's like, I hate it. I hate it. Like I would just rather pay somebody else to do all my paperwork. Any takers? Anybody want to do paperwork for me? I pay well.
Maybe you can trade paperwork for taking out the trash.
Oh, look at that. Hey, we're gonna have to have a conversation. We're gonna have to talk about this.
Facilitate my trash taken out and your paperwork being done. Yeah.
All right. Would someone like to share their revision?
I'll go.
All right. First both times.
See if it still sounds like I'm talking about the same thing. I can feel the heat of this place when I walk in every day, except on the day the eagle flies. All you see then is smiles. Then back to purgatory, my same sad story. One would say unnecessary evil. Constantly hearing doing this, do that. Most days, I'm just a slack. When evening comes, I need a double. I can't take it anymore. Just get the shovel. One would say unnecessary evil.
Sorry, I was having some problems unmuting my computer here. Nice, very nice. Yes, I can definitely still understand your frustration and exactly what you're talking about. But it feels a lot more conversational now, and which is where we like to go with spoken word. Like, we want it to feel more conversational. We want it to feel like more like, less like a monologue, more like maybe like a soliloquy, where it's not just you talking at some people, but you are talking to and posing questions and sometimes answering your own questions. All right. But it is meant to sound and feel like a conversation. It is meant to feel like maybe if you're listening to spoken word poets, that maybe you just overheard a conversation between some people that you were not really supposed to be privy to. Right? Like you sit in a coffee shop and there's a person over on the side talking to their friend, and they're just really passionate about this thing that they don't want to do, and they're telling their friend about it and how horrible it is, or how great it is if we're talking about something they're actually passionate about doing. And it is a conversational, and so that conversational tone is a thing that we want to make sure that we keep. And so in keeping with respecting everyone's time, it is right at 7 o'clock. I know this workshop is supposed to be for an hour. So if any of you need to jump off to go and live life doing other things, please feel free. I'll go ahead and drop my email address in the chat. So if you'd like to contact me later, want to talk some more about spoken word poetry, or you want to find out, where it's happening or what have you, just get with me. So if you need to go, thank you for being here. For the rest of us, if we're able to stick around for a little while longer, I promise I won't hold you for 3 or 4 hours, but just maybe just a little bit longer, so we can do just a tiny bit more work on this. I'd like to hear some more of the writings, and then we will go into our last phase. Would anyone else like to share? Okay, Kate.
Okay. I didn't read first time, so you won't really know it's a revision, but it hides in the closet under the stairs. My arm drags it by its skinny neck before unwinding the long tail. With a click, the irritating noise fills the room. The hounds bolt under the kitchen table, watching me pace across the low pile as if I've lost my mind.
That is definitely vacuuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the dogs are the reason I have to vacuum so often. So.
Right. They are the cause of their own destruction, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. That's lovely. And so, it really sounds like none of us like housework. Like nobody wants to do any form of housework. No taking out the garbage, no folding clothes, no vacuuming. Like, yeah, we just don't want to do this stuff. Right. Okay. All right. I got you. We got a bunch of people here. Maybe someone likes to vacuum. We can start doing this trading thing. Like we still talking about this you doing the paperwork for me taking out your trash. All right. Would anyone else like to share?
I'll just say I discovered a new word, moldering.
Moldering.
MOULDERING. And so I added that to my poem.
Very nice. What does the word moldering mean?
It was used in reference to old castle walls that are just falling apart. I feel like that's like laundry, just like sits there and in a state of decay and decomposition, because the dog always lies on top of it.
Okay. Right. So on here, we have a friend of mine who I have always liked to call out whenever we're in places together, but I won't do that tonight. I won't do that tonight. Like she's a spoken word poet that comes around a lot to used to come around a lot to things we did, but I will not call her out or him out or them out tonight. I'll just say that I noticed you here. Hope to hear something from you soon. Would anyone else like to share? Lori, I can't hear you if you're talking. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to share, I guess, if I can,
Yeah, please.
my revision. I didn't share the first one because I named immediately what it was at the beginning of the poem. But in the revision, I didn't really name what it was. Okay. Squeak, squeak goes my buggy. Wheels turn sideways down sanitized halls with a blue winding streak. Signs everywhere say quiet zone or shh, or babies asleep, sleeping in progress. I wish I could tiptoe quiet as a mouse down these halls. I don't want to disturb these adorable babies all wrapped up in blankets and gowns. But through these hallways, I must squeak, squeak, squeak till I reach a nurse. Up and down the halls on 8 floors till I return with stacks of paperwork rolled up tight in orange rubber bands, orange stickers stuck to white paper that say discharged. I wish I could be discharged from all this.
So we talking about being at work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's about when they ask me sometimes to pick up patient charts when they're discharged from all the floors in the hospital. And I don't like to do it because there's like a buggy in our department in medical records that's like really squeaky and noisy. And going down these halls, like where the babies are and stuff, it's like, I just don't like that at all. With that noisy
such
cart.
a considerate person. It's like, yeah, you don't want to wake the babies with your squeaking. That's very nice.
Right.
All right. So because I have asked you guys to stay over on our time, let's go right ahead into the last part of creating a spoken word piece. So the reason why I asked you to write about your anti-passion is because most people are very passionate about not doing something that they're not passionate about, right? And that is, it seems to be a lot easier to talk about than your passion. Like if I say, tell me about your passion, people kind of stumble through that. It's like, yeah, well, it's a thing, I like it, and I don't know if everybody else likes it, and it's you kind of, I'd have to pull that out of you much more than what do you not like. Everybody seems ready to just, oh yeah, no, I don't like this thing. Like, let me tell you about it, right? And the basis of a really good spoken word poem is the clear understanding of where you stand on a subject. Like the very clear understanding of where you stand on a subject, because you are given an oral presentation essentially that is telling the people or the person in front of you exactly how you feel about something. And we're here with our anti-passions, and so we all know, because of the prompt, that how we feel about the thing is not good, it's not cool, we don't want it, we don't like it, we don't like to do it, we don't like to be around it, we don't like to be in it, we don't like to be a part of it. If the thing could just disappear from the face of the earth, we would, not lose sleep at all about it. And so now we want to take what we've written and put it into more of a story mode. So it's now a lot more conversational. because it's starting to sound like, at least from what we've heard from the people who have read to us, it's starting to sound more like the way we talk. I think a lot of people start writing poetry and immediately you go into poet voice, like, oh, this is what poetry is supposed to sound like, right? This is what it has looked like all my life. But we have to remember that some of the greatest and most famous poets the world has ever known, namely Shakespeare and Chaucer, you know, Haley just reminded me, were characters, right? They wrote poetry that was very specifically for regular people. It was, and not only did they write poetry, especially Shakespeare invented words. Like, he just made up words, just made them up. Like, it didn't matter if they were words before or if they sounded like other words. He didn't care. He made up words. If they fit with the thing he wanted to say, he said it. He made up words. He wrote poetry about flatulence, right? It's like he wrote about things that people could connect to. And what he did, and what a lot of great spoken word poets do, is they weave the subject into a story, sometimes in a way that the subject catches you off guard. So let's put into our mind that we are now going to take the thing that we've written, take our core that we have fleshed out, and we want to place that core in the context of us verbally speaking a story to someone. So we start off with maybe a greeting. It doesn't have to be a very specific greeting. It doesn't have to be, good evening, Rachel, right? It doesn't have to be that. But sometimes I like to start off a poem with a question or a statement like, let me tell you something, or how would you feel if, or something like that. So we start off with bringing the person or the people into the conversation, like getting their attention. And then we preface what we're going to talk about a little bit with maybe some niceties. Like, you guys are familiar with the honey and the hatchet? When you have to tell someone some bad news, you tell them something nice first, the honey, and then you hit them with the hatchet. Right? And so we practice that a little bit, give a little honey at the beginning, and then we go into the poem or the explanation that we have already written. And then on the back end, we ask questions to make sure that the thing that we are talking about and describing has been understood. We ask questions to make sure they're understood. And these questions are, of course, rhetorical questions, right? And they're just meant to drive home again that you have told them what you're going to tell them. You've told them, and then you've told them what you just told them, right? That's kind of, when you're speaking in front of anybody, those are the three things, no matter whether it's poetry or if it's giving a speech or what have you. You tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them, right? So let's start off with some introduction, some pulling of the audience in, go weave ourselves into our description, and then finish with some rhetorical questions about our description. So we'll take about 10 minutes to do that. And then we'll hear some if you're willing. And then our time together will be over. So right now it is 7:12. So maybe it's like 7:12 and a half. So we'll do 7:23. We're back at 7:23.
Do we
Yes.
have a topic?
Yes, the one that you were already writing. So we want to start off, we want to weave that into your story. And so it's a conversational piece. We want to write this as if you're talking to someone. So you start off by introducing them to the subject. You pull them into your world. then you lay on them the thing that you've already written. You can just kind of lift that right off the page and stick it right in the middle. And we end it with some rhetorical questions to make sure that they have a great understanding of what you just told them. So 10 minutes, 7:23. Our 7:23 time has come. Our 10 minutes is up. If you are still writing, please do not stop writing. Continue on. Is there anyone who would like to share with us what we've created? Carl, are you going to go 3 for 3 tonight?
Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. Do you like yours? I did it first. I had an early thirst. I think I started a little too early though, at the tender age of 16. I was doing it good, like I knew I could, but somewhere along the way, on no specific day, it happened. I don't know if it was David, Brian, or Mel, but now it just feels like hell. Except on the day the eagle fly, but the very next day, I start back to cry. Feeling like I'm back in purgatory, my same sad story. One would say a necessary evil. Instructions everywhere you turn. I really want to make them burn. Every evening I have a double. I can't take it anymore, just get the shovel. So I ask you again, but this time I'm specific. Do you like your job? Then why won't you quit? I did. One would say a necessary evil, not anymore.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I love the way you kept that conversational tone throughout the whole thing. And you came back at the end and turned it by naming it outright. That was beautiful. Someone else like to share with us? Sophia, please.
I can't get away from the verse style, but anyway. It's funny how things change, even if they don't. Maybe it's just me. At first, there was nothing but joy when I washed the little socks, the tiny shirts, and adorable gowns. At first. But then the loads multiplied, and my time, my energy split between so many needs. I couldn't keep up, and so I caved beneath that mountain. So very many mountains. I tried to dissipate, delegate, assignate the load of so many, hoping that any would lend a hand. Now, I might not mind a few more loads. My baskets are not so full, but neither is my heart. Where chores once filled my day, there lies the ache of loss. I wouldn't mind the chance to wash your clothes just once again.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you much. That was very beautiful. The way you brought us into the story that we kind of all knew was about the laundry, but it really isn't about the laundry. It is about an act of service, an act of love. That's lovely. That's beautiful. And that is exactly what spoken word is here for. It is here to tell the story of people, not just actions. All right. Thank you again. Would anyone else like to share with us? Judy, please. Thank you.
All right. We've all done this, right? I mean, was there anybody on the planet who didn't have to make this accommodation? It started kind of fun, no? Sitting on the couch, ironed blouse over yoga pants 3 days in. Laptop balanced on a music stand. A handy mute button for when the dog barked at the neighbor's Instacart. But 8 months in, God, how much longer do we do this? There's no eye contact, no body language to read and respond to. Maybe not such a bad thing, that last. My fingers drumming against the music stand would give me away. So you get it? Please tell me you get it.
So I see that you even changed a little bit of your core poem, your revision of your poem. You revised that part again too. And your what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm losing my, today's one of those days where words are just escaping me, and they should not. The imagery, that's the word I'm looking for. The imagery that you drummed up. See what I did there? Drummed your fingers on the, yes. I like corny jokes. They're funny to me. The imagery that you used was very, very lovely. I felt as if I was in the space with you as you were not wanting to be a part of what you're doing right now. Like, it's lovely.
But I am so happy to be part of what I'm doing right now.
I'm glad. I'm happy. All right. Would anyone else like to share?
I can share my one.
Please.
All right. Do you want to play? Should we play a game? It'll be fun, right? I don't really enjoy those games where no matter how prepared, I might lose. The game where I have no control over up or down, back or forward. Some say they are all chance, but sometimes we have agency, a choice to play, pause, place, practice, develop strategy to outwit our opponents. But those games for the roll of the dice, the flip of a card, the flick of a spinner decide the square, the shoot, the ladder, the space I occupy, those games I will not play. Will you? Do you like to be told your place? Do you like to play a game with no choice?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Felt a little bit like a therapy session tonight, maybe.
Well, you know that I believe in it. I believe in the power of the therapy of spoken word. Like, that's it. Like, we create it in our heads first, and then we write it down secondly, and then we give voice to it. And sometimes we write things, poetry, stories, personal letters and such to people. And we may even deliver these things, send the email, mail the letter, whatever, and we still don't quite feel satisfied. Like, I think the last part of getting a thing out and off and feeling great about it is using your own voice. Using your own voice. Even if you're not going to read the letter to the person that you're writing it to, or to read the email to the person, just reading it out loud, right? Just saying it out loud does a couple things. One, it just makes you feel better. And two, when you read it out loud, you are speaking it, and you start to understand that sometimes the things that you're writing don't translate so great to people's ears. And believe it or not, when you're reading things, you're hearing it, right? When you're reading a book in the quiet with nothing else going on, you can hear the words in that book, right? And the best books sound great to you. Yeah, they sound great to you. So whenever you're writing anything, take a moment to read it out loud. Read it out loud. If it sounds great to you, send it, publish it, whatever you're going to do. If it doesn't sound great to you, do some more work. Yeah. Is there anyone else that would like to share with us? Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming to this session. It has been an extreme pleasure and an honor being here with you. Guys, write some more. Like, I would love to see you all at the next spoken word events, doing your spoken word poetry. And just remember, there are just a few things you need to remember. The first thing is it's a conversation that you're having. The second thing is once you have it written, speak it even before you get in front of people to make sure it sounds good. And the last thing is always remember that your audience is smarter than you think they are. And even if they're not, pretend like they are. Yeah. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. You guys have a fantastic evening. I have put my email address in the chat. I'll do it again just in case someone didn't get it or if it scrolled up too much. Yeah. Oh, I want to say this. Look, guys, if you guys are subscribers of Poetry Magazine, or if you're not, if you want to run out and grab a Poetry Magazine, there are 2 of my poems published in this month's edition of Poetry Magazine. So go ahead and grab that and see what I got to offer there. There are also quite a few other Alabama poets in Poetry Magazine this month. So go check it out. For the love of Alabama poets. It's a great edition. I would go as far as say it's the best one the Poetry Magazine has put out in the last 30 years or so, you know, but maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know.
And congratulations on your publication, Voice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here with us tonight, for joining us and leading us through such a wonderful exercise. I really appreciate it. And to all of you guys, thank you for joining in and for participating. Our next Spark community event that we have is Thursday at 6 p.m., where Nicole Laracy will lead us through drama sparks, right? So we will be doing 2-minute plays, which is going to be a lot of fun. Nicole does a lot of work with community play building, so getting people to collaborate with one another. I don't know all what she has planned for Thursday night, so I'm gonna be as surprised as you are, but I do know that she is a wonderful educator and a great dramatist. So I hope to see all of you guys then. Thank you for joining us. Have a good evening.